Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive. So today we are tackling procrastination head on, and we've got a fantastic resource to help us do just that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This book we're diving into is Do It Today by Darius Foreau, and it is packed with actionable strategies to help us break free from procrastination's grip and really boost our personal effectiveness.
All right, so Do It Today by Darius Foreau. Now, what I really appreciate about this book and about Darius himself is that he's so open about his own struggles with procrastination. He doesn't present himself as some kind of productivity guru who's got it all figured out. He actually shares stories about his own experiences like,
Oh, yeah, like those early days when he had a summer job and was putting off making sales calls.
my gosh, yes. And even later when he was freelancing and finding creative ways to avoid the real work.
It's so relatable, right? Like reading those anecdotes, you're like, wait, is he spying on me? Is that...
I know, seriously. I was like, is this guy reading my diary? But that's actually what makes the book so powerful, because he normalizes the experience of procrastination, right? He helps us see that it's not just us being lazy or lacking willpower.
Exactly. It's often rooted in deeper psychological factors like fear of failure, perfectionism, or feeling overwhelmed.
Okay, so it's not just me being a lazy bum when I spend 3 hours reorganizing my desk instead of tackling that important project.
Right. There might be something else going on there. And the consequences of procrastination, they can be pretty significant too.
Yeah, he doesn't sugarcoat that at all. He talks about how procrastination can lead to low self-esteem, anxiety, and even depression. And then he brings up this study that links procrastination to even more serious issues like alcohol and drug abuse. It's a bit of a wake-up call,
Definitely. It's a reminder that procrastination is not just a quirky little habit. It can actually have a real impact on our well-being, and recognizing that is crucial if we actually want to address it.
So how do we combat this inner enemy, as he calls it? Because he's not a big fan of just relying on willpower alone, is he?
No, not at all. He argues that willpower is a finite resource. It gets depleted. What we really need is a sustainable system for getting things done. And he breaks it down into 3 main phases: overcoming procrastination, obviously boosting productivity, and then ultimately achieving more meaningful things in life.
I love that he frames it as a system rather than just a bunch of random tips and tricks.
It makes it feel more manageable, more holistic, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Less overwhelming. And one of the first things he suggests is taking a hard look at our commitments and asking ourselves a very important question: what can I eliminate?
Yeah, to simplify my life and make it easier to focus.
Okay, so sometimes the key to productivity is actually doing less.
It can be. It's about being intentional with our time and energy and focusing on what truly matters.
So how do we figure out what to eliminate?
Well, one practical tip he suggests is doing a time tracking exercise for a week or two, where you diligently log how you spend every hour of your day.
Oh man, I can already see myself cringing at how much time I spend mindlessly scrolling through social media.
But facing that reality might be the push you need to actually make a change, right?
True.
Yeah.
True. Once you have that data, you can start making more conscious choices about how you spend your time.
Exactly. You can set limits on social media, use block distracting websites, or even just schedule specific times for checking email instead of constantly being bombarded by notifications.
Okay, so we're simplifying our lives, minimizing distractions. What's next in Darius's system for conquering procrastination?
Well, he dives into the importance of building mental toughness and resilience,
Oh,
drawing inspiration from philosophies like Stoicism, pragmatism, and mindfulness.
wait, hold on. Can we break down what those philosophies actually mean in a way that's relevant to, someone who's not a philosophy professor?
Absolutely. So Stoicism, for instance, emphasizes focusing on what we can control and accepting what we can't,
Okay.
which can be really helpful when it comes to dealing with the anxieties and uncertainties that often fuel procrastination.
So, for example, if I'm freaking out about a presentation, I have to give Stoicism would say, focus on preparing the best presentation you can and let go of the worry about how the audience will react.
Precisely. You're focusing on what you can control your preparation rather than things outside your control, like the audience's response.
Got it. What about pragmatism? How does that tie into battling procrastination?
Well, pragmatism is all about practicality and action. It's about looking at what works, what doesn't, and then using that knowledge to shape our actions. And a key concept in pragmatism is that our beliefs shape our reality.
So if I believe I'm bad at public speaking, that belief might actually make me worse at it.
Yeah, because you'll be approaching it with fear and self-doubt.
Okay, so pragmatism encourages us to challenge those limiting beliefs.
And replace them with more empowering ones.
Interesting. And then we have mindfulness. What is that all about?
Mindfulness emphasizes being present in the moment, paying attention to our thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Okay, but how does mindfulness help with procrastination? Isn't procrastination all about not being present?
You're right, it's about escaping into the future or the past. But the thing is, when we're procrastinating, we're often trying to avoid uncomfortable feelings like anxiety, boredom, fear.
Okay, yeah.
And mindfulness helps us notice those feelings without getting swept away by them.
So instead of letting those feelings control me and drive me to procrastinate, mindfulness would help me just acknowledge them and then make a conscious choice about how to proceed.
Exactly. It's about responding to those feelings rather than just reacting to them. So instead of automatically reaching for your phone when you feel bored or stressed, mindfulness would help you pause, acknowledge that feeling, and then maybe choose a more productive way to manage it.
Okay, that makes sense. So we're simplifying our lives, challenging our limiting beliefs, and cultivating greater awareness of our thoughts and feelings. This is already feeling like a pretty powerful toolkit for tackling procrastination. What else does Darius suggest we add to our arsenal?
He emphasizes the importance of having a solid morning routine.
A morning routine. I've always struggled with those.
But even just 5 or 10 minutes of focused activity can make a difference.
Okay.
He suggests writing in a journal for a few minutes to clear your head.
I do love a good brain dump in the morning.
And then spending a few minutes reading something inspiring or educational.
So instead of scrolling through social media first thing in the morning, I could be feeding my brain with something more nourishing.
Exactly. And finally, he suggests taking a few minutes to plan out your day and prioritize your most important tasks.
Okay, I can see how that would be helpful. Having a clear plan of attack would definitely make me feel more in control.
He suggests using a simple system like the Eisenhower matrix, where you categorize tasks based on their urgency and importance.
I've heard of the Eisenhower matrix, but I've never actually tried it. Maybe this deep dive is the push I need to finally give it a go.
It's a fantastic tool for prioritizing and managing your time effectively.
Okay, so we've got a solid morning routine in place. We're simplifying our lives, building mental toughness, prioritizing our tasks. What else can we do to combat those pesky procrastination urges?
He's a big proponent of something he calls the always disconnected approach.
Always disconnected.
Oh?
Okay, I'm intrigued. What exactly does that entail?
It's all about intentionally disconnecting from the internet and all its distractions to regain focus and attention.
I can already feel the resistance welling up inside me. But I also know how much time I waste getting sucked into the vortex of the internet.
It's so easy to get distracted, right?
It's like I'll sit down to write an email, and then suddenly 2 hours have disappeared and I'm watching cat videos on YouTube.
That's exactly what he's talking about. And while it can feel uncomfortable at first to disconnect, the benefits are immense. He talks about how disconnecting helps improve focus, increase productivity, boost creativity, and even enhance our overall sense of well-being.
I can definitely see the appeal.
Yeah.
It's like when I'm on vacation and I'm not constantly checking my phone and email, I feel so much more relaxed and present. But how do you actually implement this always disconnected approach in everyday life?
He suggests starting small. Maybe you designate 1 hour each day as a disconnected period where you turn off your phone and focus on a specific task. Or maybe you choose 1 day a week to completely unplug from the internet.
I've tried those website blockers before, but I always find ways to outsmart them. It's like my brain becomes obsessed with finding a loophole.
He addresses that. He emphasizes the importance of being firm with yourself and recognizing that those urges to check your phone or browse the internet are just habits that you can break with practice.
So it's not about being perfect. It's about being intentional and consistently making the effort to disconnect even when it feels challenging.
Exactly. And over time, those efforts will pay off in terms of increased focus, productivity, and a greater sense of calm and clarity.
This is really making me rethink my relationship with the internet. It's easy to feel like we're at the mercy of all these distractions, but he's really emphasizing that we have the power to reclaim control of our attention and our time.
Absolutely. And that sense of empowerment is crucial for overcoming procrastination and creating a more fulfilling and productive life.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. We've talked about simplifying our lives, building mental toughness, creating a solid morning routine, prioritizing our tasks, and intentionally disconnecting from the internet. It feels like we're already well on our way to kicking procrastination to the curb.
We are. And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore some of Darius's more specific techniques and strategies for tackling those everyday tasks and achieving our goals. But for now, I want you to consider this. What's one small step you can take today inspired by what we've discussed to simplify your life and reduce distractions?
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork for a more focused and productive life. But how do we actually tackle those tasks we tend to put off? The ones that we just keep pushing to the bottom of the to-do list.
Well, Darius offers some really practical tips on that front. One that stood out to me was his advice to boost serotonin levels by reflecting on past successes.
Reflecting on past successes. How does that help with procrastination?
It's kind of like giving yourself a little mental high five.
Yeah.
Taking a moment to appreciate what you've already accomplished.
Okay.
Because when we focus on our wins, no matter how small, it can actually stimulate serotonin production.
And serotonin is the feel-good hormone, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that can help improve our focus and motivation.
So it's like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly. You celebrate your wins, you feel good, and then you're more likely to tackle the next challenge.
I like that. It's so easy to get caught up in the things we haven't done yet that we forget to acknowledge all the awesome things we've already achieved.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything major. It could be finishing a work project, completing a workout, or even just making a healthy meal.
It's about recognizing and appreciating those small victories along the way.
Right. Because those small wins, they build momentum and they help us stay motivated.
Okay, so we're giving ourselves those mental high fives. What other practical strategies does Darius suggest?
He's a big advocate for self-imposed deadlines and accountability systems.
Self-imposed deadlines. So basically, even if a task doesn't have an external deadline, you create one for yourself.
Exactly. Because sometimes we need that external pressure to kickstart our motivation.
It's like that saying, work expands to fill the time allotted.
Exactly.
Right.
So if you give yourself a deadline, even if it's an arbitrary one, it creates a sense of urgency and helps you stay focused.
And what about accountability systems? How do those work?
Well, it could be as simple as finding a friend or colleague who is also working towards a similar goal and checking in with each other regularly. Sharing progress, offering support.
It's like having a workout buddy, but for productivity.
Exactly. Having someone to hold you accountable can make a huge difference in staying on track, especially when those procrastination urges start to creep in.
Because let's be honest, those urges are going to creep in.
Yeah.
We're human, right?
Yeah.
So what do we do when they do?
Darius recommends a technique called interval working.
Interval working. What's that?
It's basically working in short bursts with breaks in between, like the Pomodoro technique.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that. You set a timer for 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute break.
Exactly. It helps break down overwhelming tasks into manageable chunks, and those regular breaks help prevent burnout.
I love that it incorporates breaks, because I always feel guilty taking breaks. But it makes sense that stepping away from a task can actually help improve our focus when we return to it.
It's like giving your brain a chance to reset and recharge.
Okay, so we're setting deadlines, finding accountability partners, and working in intervals. What else?
Now let's talk about work. Specifically, that feeling of dreading certain work tasks.
Ooh, yes, I think we can all relate to that.
And Darius pinpoints the single biggest reason for this procrastination at work.
What is it?
A lack of passion for what we do.
It makes sense. If you're excited about your work, it doesn't even feel like work. But if you're constantly forcing yourself to do things you hate, well, no wonder procrastination becomes a problem.
He actually challenges this whole notion that work has to be something we endure. He suggests that it's possible to find work that's both enjoyable and fulfilling.
Okay, but that's easier said than done, right? I mean, not everyone can just quit their job and pursue their passion.
True. But it's not about finding some magical dream job overnight. It's about actively seeking out opportunities that excite you, developing the skills you need, and being willing to take risks.
So it's about taking ownership of our careers and creating a work life that we genuinely look forward to.
Exactly. And he emphasizes that it's not about settling for a job we hate just because it pays the bills.
But what if you're not even sure what you're passionate about? Where do you even begin?
He suggests starting with those universal skills that are valuable in any field, like self-discipline, personal effectiveness, communication negotiation, and even physical strength and flexibility.
Wait, physical strength and flexibility. How do those fit into the picture?
He sees personal development as a holistic process, encompassing both our mental and physical well-being.
Okay.
Taking care of our physical health can actually enhance our focus energy and resilience, which in turn benefits all areas of our lives, including work.
So it's not just about sitting at a desk all day. It's about cultivating a strong and capable self in all aspects of life.
And he emphasizes that developing these skills is an ongoing process. It's not about achieving perfection and posting. It's about constantly challenging ourselves to learn, grow, and evolve.
So even if we're not sure what our dream job looks like, Yet we can start by building a solid foundation of skills and experiences that will serve us well in any path we choose.
Exactly. And while you're working on those skills, he encourages exploring different interests, trying new things, and even taking on side projects that align with your curiosities.
It's about treating life as a grand experiment and being open to discovering what truly lights you up.
He actually shares his own career journey, which wasn't exactly a straight line to success.
Oh, really?
He got 2 business degrees, worked with his father, did some freelance work, even had a corporate job before eventually finding his passion in writing and speaking about productivity and personal growth.
That's encouraging. It shows that it's okay to not have it all figured out right away, and that it's okay to try different things until you find what truly resonates with you.
And his journey also highlights the importance of continuous learning and being adaptable. He talks about rereading his favorite books on Stoicism every month and regularly revisiting the elements of style to keep his writing sharp.
So it's not just about acquiring knowledge. It's about consistently revisiting and refining those skills that are essential to our success, no matter what field we're in.
And he emphasizes the importance of staying a beginner, always being open to learning, and never assuming that we know it all.
I love that. It's about embracing a growth mindset and seeing every experience as an opportunity to learn and evolve.
He quotes Muhammad Ali, who said, "It's the repetition of affirmations that leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen."
So it's about consistently reinforcing those beliefs that empower us and drive us forward.
And consistency is key, not just in terms of developing our skills, but also in terms of taking action towards our goals.
Makes sense.
He talks about aiming to improve by just 0.1% each day. It might not seem like much in the moment, but those tiny gains compound over time.
It's the slow and steady wins the race approach.
Exactly. And it applies to all areas of life, whether it's finances, relationships, health, or personal growth.
So instead of trying to overhaul our entire lives overnight, we should focus on making small, sustainable changes day after day.
Now, he also introduces this really fascinating concept of living life with a long-term perspective, almost as if we were immortal.
Whoa, okay, that's a new one. What does he mean by that?
He argues that when we adopt this perspective, we're less likely to get caught up in short-term setbacks or anxieties, and more likely to focus on those activities that truly matter in the grand scheme of things.
So it's about thinking beyond our immediate concerns and considering the legacy we want to leave behind.
And he suggests that this perspective can actually help us overcome procrastination because it shifts our focus from the immediate discomfort of a task to its long-term benefits.
So instead of thinking, I really don't want to do this right now. Yeah. I might think, this is a step towards creating the life I want, so it's worth the effort.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective can make a huge difference in our motivation and willingness to take action.
It's about aligning our actions with our long-term vision and trusting that those efforts will eventually lead to the results we desire.
Now, with all this talk about achieving goals and maximizing our potential, it's important to consider how we actually measure our progress.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It's easy to get caught up in external metrics like income or social status, but are those really the best indicators of a fulfilling life?
Darius argues that we should also consider internal factors like energy learning potential and the quality of our relationships when assessing our progress.
So it's not just about the external achievements, it's also about cultivating a sense of well-being and fulfillment in all areas of life.
Exactly. He suggests we ask ourselves questions like, do I feel energized and motivated throughout the day? Am I constantly learning and growing? Do I have deep and meaningful connections with the people who matter most to me?
I love that. It's a much more holistic and nuanced approach to measuring success than simply focusing on the numbers.
He argues that when we prioritize these internal factors, the external achievements often follow naturally.
So it's about focusing on building a fulfilling and meaningful life and trusting that the success will flow from that.
Exactly. And he provides specific tips for cultivating these internal factors. For example, he talks about improving our energy by exercising regularly, eating well, and getting enough sleep.
Those are all things we know we should be doing, but it's easy to let them slip when we're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. He's really emphasizing that taking care of our physical well-being is essential for our overall success and fulfillment.
He also talks about nurturing our learning potential by staying curious, reading widely, and seeking out new experiences and challenges.
It's about embracing a growth mindset and seeing every experience as an opportunity to learn and evolve.
And when it comes to relationships, he emphasizes the importance of quality over quantity.
Okay.
Focusing on cultivating deep and meaningful connections with those who truly matter to us, rather than getting caught up in the superficiality of social media or fleeting acquaintances.
It's about prioritizing those relationships that bring us joy, support, and a sense of belonging.
He also emphasizes the importance of rest and rejuvenation.
Rest and rejuvenation. That sounds nice.
He talks about how taking regular breaks, vacations, and even just short moments of downtime can help us recharge our batteries, reduce stress, and improve our overall well-being.
I think we often underestimate the power of rest. We live in such a go-go-go culture that it can feel almost indulgent to take time for ourselves.
But he argues that rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And when we prioritize rest, we're actually investing in our long-term productivity and creativity.
So it's not about being on all the time. It's about finding a sustainable rhythm for work and life that allows for both productivity and rejuvenation.
And he provides specific tips for making the most of our downtime, like engaging in activities that foster creativity and spending quality time with loved ones, and simply allowing ourselves to unplug and recharge.
It's about being intentional with our time off, just as we are with our work time.
And he addresses the common concern that many people have about not being able to afford to take vacations or time off. He suggests that even if you can't afford a lavish trip, you can still take a staycation and apply the same principles of rest and rejuvenation.
So it's about creating space in your life for those activities that nourish your soul and bring you joy, even if it's just for a few hours each week.
And he reminds us that taking care of ourselves is not selfish. It's essential. When we're feeling rested, energized, and fulfilled, we're better able to show up for the people and things that matter most to us.
This is really making me rethink my whole approach to productivity. It's not just about getting things done. It's about creating a life that feels aligned, balanced, and fulfilling.
Exactly. And Darius provides a wealth of knowledge and insights to help us do just that.
So we've talked about setting goals, measuring our progress, and taking care of our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. But what about those times when we're feeling stuck or unmotivated? Does he offer any advice for those moments?
He does. He talks about the importance of identifying our values and aligning our actions with those values.
Aligning our actions with our values. What does that mean?
It means making sure that our choices are reflecting our deepest beliefs and aspirations. You know, it's easy to get caught up in what we think we should be doing or what other people expect of us.
Okay.
But when we're acting in accordance with our values, we feel a greater sense of purpose and motivation.
So, for example, if I value creativity, I might make time each day for a creative pursuit, even if it's just for 15 minutes.
Exactly. And he emphasizes that this is an ongoing process. Our values might evolve over time, and it's important to regularly check in with ourselves and make sure our actions are still aligned with what we hold dear.
It's about living with intention.
He also talks about the importance of finding meaning in our work, even if we're not in our dream job yet.
Okay. How do we do that?
He suggests that we can find meaning in any work by focusing on how our efforts are contributing to something larger than ourselves.
So even if I'm not working at my dream job yet, I can still find meaning in my current role by focusing on how my efforts are helping my team, my clients, or even just making someone's day a little bit brighter.
Exactly. And he encourages us to seek out opportunities to use our skills and talents to make a positive impact on the world around us.
It's about finding a sense of purpose and fulfillment in our work, even if it's not exactly what we envision for ourselves.
And he reminds us that it's okay to not have it all figured out.
Thank goodness, because I definitely don't.
He emphasizes that personal growth is a journey, not a destination. There will be setbacks, challenges, and moments of doubt along the way.
It's about embracing the process and learning from our mistakes rather than striving for some unattainable ideal of perfection.
He encourages us to be kind to ourselves, celebrate our wins, and learn from our failures.
That's such an important reminder. It's easy to get caught up in self-criticism, but when we can approach ourselves with compassion and understanding, we're more likely to persevere through challenges and achieve our goals.
He also highlights the importance of having a supportive community around us, people who believe in us and encourage us to grow.
Yes, having a strong support system can make all the difference.
He suggests surrounding ourselves with people who inspire us, challenge us, and make us want to be better versions of ourselves.
I love that. It's about creating a positive and supportive environment for growth and development.
And he reminds us that we don't have to do this alone. There are resources, mentors, and communities available to help us along the way.
It's about reaching out for support when we need it and recognizing that we're all in this together.
And he ends the book with a call to action. He encourages us to be bold, take risks, and create the life and career we truly desire.
So it's not just about reading the book and nodding along. It's about actually taking action and putting these principles into practice.
Exactly. He reminds us that we have the power to make choices, to shape our reality, and to leave a positive impact on the world.
You know, it's amazing how much we've uncovered just by taking a deep dive into this book.
It's really packed with insights, isn't it?
Absolutely. And one of the things that strikes me is how Darius emphasizes the importance of self-awareness. Really understanding ourselves and our habits before we try to change anything.
It's like he's saying, look in the mirror before you start trying to fix things.
Exactly. Because it's so easy to just go through life on autopilot. But when we actually take the time to examine our thoughts, our actions, our behaviors, that's when we can start making more conscious choices.
Choices that are actually aligned with our values and our goals.
And the great thing is he doesn't advocate for these huge, overwhelming life overhauls.
Right.
He's all about those small, consistent actions taken over time.
Yeah, those little tweaks and adjustments that can make a big difference in the long run.
And that's actually really reassuring.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the thought of making a drastic change can feel so daunting that we end up doing nothing at all.
Yeah, it's paralyzing, right?
But if it's just about taking small steps each day, well, that feels much more manageable.
And he provides so many practical strategies and techniques that we can start implementing right away.
So many. Like I'm already thinking about the always disconnected approach,
Yeah.
the Pomodoro technique, the Eisenhower matrix.
All fantastic tools. And what I love is that he encourages experimentation. It's not about finding the one perfect system. It's about finding what works best for you.
Because we're all different, right? What works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. So it's about being flexible, adaptable, and willing to adjust our approach as needed.
And I think it's also about being patient with ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Because personal growth, it's a journey, not a destination.
It's ongoing. It's continuous.
There will be setbacks. There will be challenges. There will be moments of doubt.
It's part of the process.
And it's about embracing that process, trusting that we're exactly where we need to be on our journey.
One thing that really resonated with me is this idea that personal growth isn't just about improving ourselves for our own benefit.
Oh, that's interesting. What do you mean by that?
Well, he talks about how when we become better versions of ourselves, we naturally contribute more to the world around us.
So it's not selfish to focus on personal growth. It's actually a way to make a positive impact on others.
Exactly. Whether it's through our work, our relationships, or our creative endeavors when we're striving to be our best selves, we can't help but ripple those benefits outwards.
So it's like a win-win situation. We grow as individuals and the world benefits as well. This has been such an insightful deep dive into Do It Today. I feel like I've gained so much valuable knowledge and practical strategies to finally overcome procrastination and start living a more productive and fulfilling life.
And I hope our listeners feel the same way, inspired and empowered to take action.
So what's one small step you can take today, inspired by what we've discussed, to move towards that more productive and fulfilling life? What's one thing you can do to do it today?
Take a moment to reflect on what truly matters to you. What are your values? What are your goals? And then ask yourself, what's one small action I can take today to align my actions with those values and move closer to those goals? It could be something as simple as setting a timer for 25 minutes of focused work or making a list of those things you can eliminate from your life to simplify and create more space for what truly matters. The important thing is to take that first step and then keep taking those small steps day after day.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Do It Today by Darius Foro. We hope you found it valuable, and we encourage you to pick up a copy of the book for yourself and continue exploring these powerful ideas. And remember, even small actions taken consistently can lead to remarkable results. So go out there and do it today.